Here we go. Hot sheet rolling right now. Baseball America's finest. We got JJ Cooper, the OG hot sheet member with me, Scott Braun. Mark Chiarelli joining us, I think for the first time. Jacob Rudner with us as well. Mark, first time?
First time.
All right. I'm not going to pop quiz you from the start, but I'm excited. I'm excited. Bring it. Bring the energy. It's Monday. We got to keep people going here. Mid-August, dog days. Before we start, actually, JJ, quick question for you, and then we're going to dive into some of these call-ups from the weekend. Timing-wise, rookie eligibility. That's all I'm going to say. You are already ready to
Yes,
go.
I'm ready to go
I
on that.
talked about this on FT. I was like, advantage for team because they can keep the rookie status for next year and get the pick. And then I was like, advantage for play. Oh, wait, there. I don't know if there is an advantage for the player. Is there?
Well, I would say that with the players, the thing with all of this is there are players who in the past may have been held back, and now there's an incentive to bring them up. We are seeing more players come up now because of this, because you want to get them acclimated to help them try to win Rookie of the Year next year. So you have seen a little bit of that. But the key number is that August 15th was the date where if you brought a player up, he will not hit the 45 days of service time. He will not exceed that this season, which means as long as you keep him below 131 at-bats or 50 innings, they will be rookie eligible next year. The key part of that is if a prospect is on at least two top 100 lists, ours, ESPN's, and MLB Pipeline's, they can win a draft pick for their team if they are Rookie of the Year. Also, if they finish in MVP voting or Cy Young down the road, got to think a 3-year window for that. So if you're wondering, why did we see Dylan Beavers come up the day we did? Why did we see Samuel Basallo come up when he did? That's the reason, is that there's no real reason to bring them up before that, because you would then, now the interesting with that is Owen Casey did come up before that. So if Owen Casey stays up the rest of the year, he will not be rookie eligible, and he will not be eligible next year for a Rookie of the Year PPI incentive if he's kept up for the remainder of the season.
Quick question, quick follow-up. Does that have to do with him being on a roster at a big league level, even if Casey's not playing every day? Because he clearly is not going to get every day at bats. I mean, he's probably going to sit sometimes and not get it even a pinch hit at bat. But it doesn't matter for rookie eligibility?
We're talking in the service time. He came up before, so he would get over 45 days of service time if he's up the rest of the year. Now, you can send him down for a week, and that's the key thing there, though, too. This is why service time gets really convoluted. If you send him down, it has to be for more than 7 days, or otherwise it doesn't count. So if they sent Casey down for 10 days at some point over the remainder of the season, he would still be PPI eligible next year, or 9 days or 8 days. But if you send him down for a couple of days and right back up, it still would count as service time. So it is interesting when he was brought up. Now, Miguel Amaya went on the IL. If Amaya, who thankfully doesn't seem as injured as it looked like he was when he got hurt, but if Amaya came off the IL in a few weeks and they sent Casey back down for the remainder of the season or something, then he would still be eligible.
Boom. There you go. I like to nerd out on this topic. Plus, we hit it on foul territory as well. Let's hit the first move. Here comes young Samuel Basallo to the Baltimore Orioles big league club. A highly rated prospect. JJ, somebody that you've been keeping track of for quite some time. And here we go. What should we expect? I also want to throw this out there real quick before you answer. We do prospect profiles on the Baseball America YouTube channel. We did one on him, so it's still relevant. You can check that out. But let's get the latest here from the guy right next to me on the screen. JJ, what do you think?
As a hitter, Samuel Basallo is truly special. He just turned 21 this past week. He hit 270, 377, 589 with 23 homers in just 76 games at AAA this year. There's almost nothing to dislike about what he's doing offensively. As far as average EV in AAA, second in AAA among 200 plus plate appearances, Roman Anthony, number one. Among average bat speed, fourth in AAA. Among barrels, as far as batted balls, versus and plate appearances, number one in AAA. We are talking about a truly elite hitter with elite power, who, by the way, as we just said, is 21 years old and just turned 21. And Uncle Ted, you were wrong. Dylan Beavers is not better, and he will not be better than Samuel Basallo. Sorry, that's just true. Reading our comments as we have them come in. The key question, though, is that Samuel Basallo is a catcher / first baseman. So what I wanted to spend a lot of time on working on for this was, okay, well, what about him as a catcher? And the thing that I kind of came away with is he's not bad back there. Now, the tricky part is he's 20 and he doesn't have nearly as much experience behind the plate as most catchers when they reach the majors, because they're just not as good a hitter as Samuel Basallo. The problem Samuel Basallo has had is he's so good offensively that he keeps getting bumped up. And so he's reached the majors at an age where most of his contemporaries aren't even coming close to sniffing the majors. The last one we saw who did it at this age was Francisco Alvarez. But the key difference there was Alvarez was coming up to a team that needed a catcher. So the Mets were willing to live with the possibilities of him having some ups and downs behind the plate. Basallo is joining a team that has an established catcher. So it'll be interesting to see how much they are willing to kind of live with what I would say is really kind of minor growing pains. He's going to have to adjust to the majors. But the thing that does jump out, and that graphic right there shows it, there are not guys who reach the majors and catch 25 plus games in their age 21 season. Basallo, like you said, could do that next year and qualify for that. Check out that list, and you are looking at guys those are your 21st century guys, other than Luis Torrens, who was a Rule 5 pick. These are guys who generally, Daniel Navarro was a useful 1,000 games in the big leagues, but not a star. The rest of that list, those are stars. And then in Alvarez's case, a guy who is kind of establishing himself potentially as a star. Basallo is a truly special player, but when you talk about him defensively, his throwing arm is strong. He just needs to kind of get a little quicker with unfurling himself. He's really big. His blocking is solid. Hands aren't great, but receiving, framing is fine. Like, there's a lot there that really does jump out to me as you know what, if the Orioles, and he wants to do it, if the Orioles are willing to work on it and willing to give him the opportunities, I don't think it's crazy to think that he can catch, even if he is one of the bigger guys out there that you're going to see catching.
JJ, after your synergy deep dive, did you walk away more optimistic based on what you went in thinking about his defense? And to bring it back to the hands point, I feel like that kept coming up in the story. The hands, if anything, were a limitation. Now I'm curious, based on catchers that you've evaluated in the past, where your optimism is in terms of that getting better for him as he gets more time in the majors.
I would say that it's definitely always going to be a limiting factor, because the really special guys are the ones the big league catchers, a lot of them are wizards at this point. To me, I always think of that ball where it's kind of, they're set up here and then it kind of bounces away to their left and they backhand it with their glove. Basallo can't do that. If it gets outside of his frame to his right, he has a trouble kind of snagging that ball that the pitcher just really missed his target with. With the framing, sometimes you'll see him a little bit have to kind of catch it first and not do that fluid motion where he's kind of dragging it in the zone throughout the reception, throughout the catch. But I would say with all of that, it's not bad. It's just not great. And it's probably going to be a limiting factor. You're not talking about someone who's probably going to become a Gold Glover behind there, but you are talking about someone who is turning in average pop times right now with some of the best arm strength in AAA. You're talking about a guy who's been pretty much an average framer in AAA this year, really good at the top of the zone, a little bit not as good at the bottom of the zone as a framer. We're talking about someone who's bilingual, who, can speak to the, Spanish-speaking pitchers and to the English-speaking pitchers, and is able to be a great communicator. And I think the other key thing about this is, and has shown the desire, he wants to do this. He wants to catch, which I always kind of talk about, because that's really, catching's terrible. Catching's hard. And if you don't want to do it, you're not going to probably do it well. Well, Samuel Basallo has over the years shown that he wants to catch.
Let's just say, though, JJ, that first base ends up being the destination for him. You mentioned the bat earlier and how this is a special player in terms of the hit power combination, rare, especially for a catcher. But if he does end up at first base, where does that bat stack up among first basemen? Would he be somebody who's capable of hanging with what we see with modern first base bats?
Yeah, he should be one of the best hitting first basemen in the major leagues. Again, we don't want to go overboard for this, but guys who reach the majors at 21 like this, that puts them in a pretty rare group already. the guy you can't help but kind of compare him to when you talk about this. Roman Anthony, him aren't perfect analogs, but Roman Anthony, like him, kind of reached the majors at roughly the same age, hits the ball exceptionally hard, I would say that Anthony has a little bit better batting eye, but Basallo has kind of enough bat to ball skills to really make it work, even though he's a little bit more aggressive, I would say, on pitches and can be beaten in the zone a little bit more than Anthony. But that's the kind of guy, when we talk about from a pure power standpoint, when you talk about the bat speed, when you talk about the exit velocities, when you talk about the ability to consistently generate hard contact, like I said, when you look at barrel rate in AAA, Samuel Basallo is number one, Roman Anthony's number two. So that's what we're kind of talking about here. And if you look at his season this year, it's not all that different than what we've seen from Roman Anthony. This kind of power, 23 homers in 76 games in AAA as a 20-year-old, is something you just don't see very often. There are examples. You can find a Kareem Garcia, every now and then, someone who reached the AAA and produced at a very young age and then struggled to kind of keep it going. But it's pretty rare. More normally, it's the guys like Giancarlo Stanton, who had 37 homers before he, by his age 20, before he turned 21 in AAA. That's the kind of thing that you more often see is the guys who move this fast, and especially when they have the background of the tools like Basallo has, they're the guys who end up being really special bats as well.
It's a great breakdown. Orioles fans should be excited, right? This is somebody that you've been waiting for if you're an Orioles fan, and here you go. And at a very young age, you had a great breakdown there from JJ. Coming up next, another prospect breakdown that we want to go over. Nolan McLean made his debut for the Mets. He dazzled, so we'll get everyone's take on what they saw from him, plus a new top farm system, according to Baseball America. We'll go over that team coming up, and it's a team that you're going to be like, oh, really? Them? Be right back. Okay, Kratz, I opened up Arena Club, put my own money in there, and I wasn't going to go big. I know we went over the Ruby pack a week ago. This time, I just went for the low-level pack, where it's an easy entry point, $25. You can get yourself a big boy card. The Grail has many good options. I slice open the pack. We're looking at it if you're watching us right now. And I pull a card from the 1950s. Super cool. I enjoyed the experience looking at it. It's Jim Gilliam. It's a top set from the mid-50s. But I got an offer for more than what the slap pack costs, and I sold it back. Tough times for the Dodgers right now. Don't at me, but I got $28 instantly, so I can buy another one of those packs and try and get what I want.
Absolutely. The excitement, I heard Kip say it before, the excitement's in the chase. You sold it back. Now you get to open another one. I enjoy when you slide it across the screen there and the pack opens.
arenaclub.com/foul. 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase. Get after it. We're back. Let's talk Nolan McLean. Ooh, nice cutter I'm looking at for the punch out there. He's got good stuff, JJ. This guy can spin it. How much do you like him going into this outing? And do you think that this could be a number 1 or 2 starter for the Mets homegrown?
He was we just updated, and he was our number 1 Mets prospect going into that start. I would say safely, we're not reevaluating anything after that. The only thing I would say that you have to watch after that start is, how is he going to handle lefties? Like if you said, okay, he was great, but how is he going to handle lefties? That's, I think, a little bit more of a question. But the thing that does jump out with him, you talk about that breaking ball, you compare, especially paired with that fastball. The breaking balls are special potentially. And I think that this really, for the Mets, this was kind of vital for them that they're getting, because they've really kind of struggled, obviously. And part of the struggles have been the rotation. Having someone they can add who's not just kind of trying to tread water, but someone who can really make an impact for them is kind of a big deal. And Jacob, the thing that does jump out, like that as that tweet right there says, it wasn't that long ago that this guy was an outfielder who also pitched a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about somebody who's a really standout athlete, and that is kind of the theme among these guys who can rise quickly, who are really college baseball stars, and then they go and make an impact in professional baseball. The thing that stood out to me from his debut, and this has been a part of the conversation that we've been having at Baseball America for some time, yes, he can beat you in terms of the strikeouts, and that obviously stands out every time somebody misses a lot of bats. And with the way that his breaking balls are, it's really impressive. However, I like Nolan McLean because he's able to beat you by making contact too. This is not somebody who's afraid to pitch in the zone and make his defense play behind him. We saw that a little bit in his debut as well. I think that this is somebody who's very versatile. He's able to get outs in multiple ways. And I don't think that his ability to induce that bad contact should be ignored. It was that way when he was at Oklahoma State. We saw it in his Mets debut. We saw it in the minor leagues. And I expect that to be a staple of his game. That bowling ball sinker is really good. And he's able to make bad contact with hitters who are trying to, beat him. And he's able to get past him, but you don't have to as well.
The other thing that I wonder with this is I know this is one of the trio. I know they've said that Jonah Tong's not coming up. I don't expect Jonah Tong to go into the Mets rotation, but I do really get intrigued by the idea of what Jonah Tong could do in a short stint, 1 inning outings as a reliever. Let that he's a weird look. Let him kind of just face teams one time, never let a batter see him twice in a series. I think that could make an impact for them in the postseason. Brandon Sproat is obviously another guy who could fit, especially in that kind of role. We've seen the youth movement start here. I kind of wonder if there's going to be some consideration, especially when we get to September, about maybe moving a little further. I mean, Jonah Tong he just reached AAA, had a great first start in AAA, but he's also the minor strikeout leader this year, fastball changeup combo that is pretty unique and a delivery that's pretty unique as well.
I know that it was a long lull for the Mets, but they still think they're a World Series team. So if that's the case, best arms in the big leagues, now is the time. And there's certainly some guys that can be replaced. They might be expensive replacements, like a Frankie Montas, who is on the hook still for next year for $17 million, but it is what it is. Let's get to another team in the National League that is thriving. It's the best team in baseball right now, record-wise, the Brewers. And guess what, Mark? They also have the best farm system, according to Baseball America, with the midseason talent rankings update. So how did that work out?
Well, they got a little bit of everything, Scott. They've got high-end ceiling, Jesus Mate, Jacob Misiorowski at the top. They've had breakouts this year. I think Luis Pena went from off our top 100 to inside the top 20 this year. There's pitching depth. They've just, the last 2 drafts, they've brought in a lot of talent. I think the one thing that really stands out to me, too, when you talk about Brewers magic right now from the majors all the way down to the complex, they're developing these guys with unique backgrounds. This isn't a number one farm system that has a bunch of first rounders and a bunch of guys with pedigree. Neither Mate or Pena signed for over $1 million coming out of the international free agent market. Misiorowski was a second rounder that they signed over slot. Cooper Pratt, 6th rounder they signed over slot. You can go up and down the list until you get to 2 recent additions in Andrew Fisher and Brady Ebel. There isn't a ton of first round adjacent pedigree, which I think just speaks to the job they're doing up and down their system and coaxing the most out of what's in there and also identifying different types of players that they can maximize.
It is truly an organization where it seems like almost everything's going well right now. The other part about this is we've seen this again this year. Logan Henderson, Chad Patrick. This is also an organization. Isaac Collins is one of the best minor league Rule 5 picks that we're ever going to see. But this is an organization that kind of helps guys get better. Every year it seems like that. Coming into this year, the question was, what is this Brewers starting rotation going to look like? And then we turn around and they have too many starters. They've had Logan Henderson. I know he's on the IL right now, but they've had Logan Henderson AAA at times where he would have been starting for more than half of the teams in the major leagues. That's what they kind of do. They're just kind of relentless. And the other part about them is that they play good defense everywhere across the diamond. They have shortstops playing second. They have shortstops playing third. They have center fielders playing right and left, or in Isaac Collins' case, an infielder playing left field who's been a really good defensive end outfielder as well. It's just a team that's kind of hitting on all cylinders, but I think Mark hit it. The key thing is internationally, they've really kind of unlocked a new level when you talk about guys like Mate and Pena and all kind of adding to what they were already doing.
A little poke at the constant salary cap complaining from some teams who just are rooting, or from some fans who are just rooting for teams that are not run well. The rich get richer is the headline here for the Brewers. Best record in baseball, best farm system in baseball. We're swinging right back to answer some of your questions that are live in the chat on Hot Sheet.
FT fans, you want to have confidence when you go out in public? Absolutely. We can't all wear a backwards hat like me, but you can get some True Classic fit shirts. It almost looks like, oh, wow, this shirt was tailored for me. Nope, it's every True Classic. This John is soft, it is smooth, and it makes you look a little jacked. I'm just saying.
And Kratz, you are jacked, and you are spot on. True Classic is the spot to go if someone's like, where do I get shirts? True Classic. The colors are fantastic. They've sold over 25 million shirts to more than 5 million customers. Their shirts just win. The feel, the tailored look, the price. We all wear True Classic on FT. I mean, Cam Maben literally can't say enough about them too next time we have Cam on. Hit up trueclassic.com/foul. Give it a shot. Upgrade your wardrobe and save on True Classic at trueclassic.com/foul. That's trueclassic.com/FOUL. Final sprint. We encourage questions and we get them every week in the YouTube chat. If you're watching on TV, you can get involved live, but also hello to those watching on the NBC Sports channels. So let's queue up the first question here from a fan and see what we're working with. Rob, since your title is all about Samuel Basallo, when Trey Gibson pitches to Basallo in 2026, will Gibson be on Baseball America's top 100, JJ?
I think there's a very good chance. He already has moved up to where he is near the top of the Orioles top 30. Him and Esteban Mejia are the top pitching prospects in the Orioles system. Mejia has a higher upside, but Gibson obviously is in AAA now and had a very good debut in AAA. He's on the edge of it right now. We like to say that the difference between a guy who's at the very back of the 100 versus a guy who's not on the 100 is razor thin, and Trey Gibson's one of those guys who's right in consideration for the back of the 100.
Ben has a question about the Reds. Given the severe lack of production at first base, third base, and DH, how are the Reds not calling up Sal Stewart? JJ, what's the plan here? I mean, they traded for Ke'Bryan Hayes to hold down third base. Stewart can play any of those spots, right?
He can. I would say, though, third base would be a little bit more of a challenge. That defensively, there are questions still about him at third base. He's played some second. Obviously, he's not going to play second for the Reds either. DH or first base, that's more of a kind of a fair question, I would say, at this point, because you wouldn't be asking too much of him. He hasn't played as much first base as you would want for a guy to jump right into there. But yeah, he's been productive at AA. Now he's been even better. Actually, AAA, he's on our hot sheet again this week over at baseballamerica.com. And at this point, he's added to the ability. He's always been a very pure hitter, but now what he's doing is he's showing that he can turn on a ball when a pitcher challenges him, which before there was a lot of oppo. And there's a lot of hits to be had in the opposite field. But to be able to then put a little fear in the pitcher where, hey, if you kind of come in on me, I'm going to make you pay for it. He's done that more in the last 3 months than he did the entirety of his career, before that last 3 months. So that kind of was like the last step for me as a hitter, kind of seeing him reach this point. I would say that they made enough moves. I think that Miguel Andujar is kind of who they're looking at to kind of do that. He is much more experienced, but I would say that Stewart very much should be in their plans for 26.
Boom. There you go. Great answer. What a day for prospect promotions. Reading the Baseball America tweet from yesterday, Connor Griffin to AA. Leo DeVries gets promoted to AA. Obviously, Basallo we covered earlier in the show. So, JJ, what do you think about Griffin and DeVries? And I'm going to throw a bonus question here because we got 2 minutes left in the show. Ken Rosenthal's Fair Territory show got a fan question asking if Connor Griffin should get a little Jackson Chourio offer sent his way for an extension before he hits the big leagues.
I would say that if you're the Pirates, 100% you would want to do that. If I'm Connor Griffin, I would probably not. Like, he was the number 9 pick, so he's already gotten paid enough where he already has the taking care of the family for a very long time money. I'll kind of kick this to Mark a little bit. It's not kind of something that the Pirates normally do, but am I fair in saying that, like, if you're the Pirates, you would 100% be willing to kind of offer a pretty massive extension, which would also be huge for the Pirates from a standpoint of actually locking up one of their right now. Connor Griffin at this moment is one of the 2 or 3 most important players on the Pirates. I know he's not in the big leagues, but you've got Paul Skeens. I think you're done with the list after that.
Well, you nailed it. Massive is a relative term. The biggest extension in terms of total value they've ever given out is $106.75 million to Brian Reynolds. So Churio came in at 82 with a ton of escalators. So for the Pirates to do this would be somewhat or almost uncharted territory for the organization. You'd have to kind of work through the optics of extending Connor Griffin before Paul Skeens, but sure, they would be absolutely. I think the development of Griffin this year is a franchise altering 6 months for them, because for so long, for the last two years, it's been Pirates pitching, but where's the hitting? This year's been the inverse. They've got Griffin, they've got Edward Florentino. Suddenly, you're starting to see the seeds of some hitting development and some reason to be optimistic that this lineup in another year or two could have some high-end talent. So sure, they should absolutely be into it. I don't know if they necessarily can afford what Connor Griffin might be able to get in, say, 6 to 12 more months.
And if Pirates fans see any type of offer his way and then go, what about Skeens? Well, Skeens is a little more pricey at this point, guys. He's been in the big leagues for a couple seasons now, on his way to probably a Cy Young Award here after Rookie of the Year. So anyway, great show. Mark, great debut with you. JJ, Jacob, great to have you as usual. Thanks to everyone watching on the TV side. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button to the Baseball America YouTube channel, like this show, and we'll see you next week.